right, boys and girls, time to talk a little mock draft. Mel Kiper 3.0 came out a few days ago. Finally getting around to taking a look at it and having a little bit of conversation here. So without further ado, let's go into each of the picks. At the very top of the draft, he has the Jacksonville Jaguars going Aiden Hutchinson, the defensive end from Michigan. This has been a top pick basically since Robinson, their left tackle, was franchise tagged, and they brought in Brandon Scherf as well. Now, I have heard a lot of people still talk about offensive linemen for the Jaguars just because they still want to surround Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne with the offensive linemen. Got to protect your star quarterback, got to protect your running back that you invested heavily in just last year. So I could still see this go either way. I would still kind of lean on the Hutchinson sort of train. Now, as far as Detroit going safety at number 2, I would feel like Detroit's probably a little disappointed, if I had to guess. Safety at 2, while people are talking about safety at 3 with Hamilton or 4 with the Jets, I guess saying he's going one pick higher to Detroit isn't crazy, especially with Aaron Glenn, their current defensive coordinator, who was the defensive backs coach for the New Orleans Saints. Maybe they want to get their Marcus Williams, but maybe a little bit higher end as far as the safety goes. So maybe they do go that route. But I would feel pretty underwhelmed if I was Detroit going this way. Houston takes Ikem Ekwonu, the tackle from NC State. Really nice offensive guard. Probably my favorite one in the guard tackle. Favorite one in the draft. Can't be upset with that. Then they get to the Jets at number 4, which means all the edge rushers outside of Aiden Hutchinson are sitting there for the Jets, and we go Drake London. Love the player, don't love how early it is. Now, this could be a panic move for the New York Jets. Obviously, we've been in on a few different trade discussions with Calvin Ridley, with Amari Cooper, with most recently Tyreek Hill, and then you're starting to hear rumblings about DK Metcalf and A.J. Brown as well. So, obviously, offensive firepower in terms of wide receiver, number 1 wide receiver, is going to be a big, big need for the New York Jets. So, Drake London, he's like 6'3", I think is what he measured in at. Big-time receiver from USC. This guy was the number 1 dude in contested catches, and he had 130 yards in 6 of the 8 games that he played this year before breaking his ankle, if I'm not mistaken, was the injury. He's an elite wide receiver. He's definitely someone of the mold of like a Mike Williams, which is someone that the Jets were reportedly going to go hard after if he wound up hitting free agency. He's the wide receiver from the Chargers. He's like 6'5", 215, 225 pounds, something along those lines. So this guy definitely lines up with that sort of stature of receiver that we're looking at. But number 4, I think this is probably as high as people have seen a receiver go. Most people are generally thinking maybe the Falcons at number 8 or the Jets at number 10 are probably the first 2 spots where people are realistically thinking wide receiver. I'll admit, I still think we should go edge rusher at number 4. I don't love the idea of going receiver at number 4. Like, I think if you go at least with the edge rusher here, you have your choice of a few different guys at number 10. Like, worst case scenario, you're getting the second best wide receiver. I don't think you're falling further than that. At number 5, the Giants wind up going Evan Neal. I think that makes a ton of sense. They need to get some offensive line help. This guy could be their right tackle for the foreseeable future. At number 6, Trayvon Walker, the edge from Georgia. I wasn't really expecting this from the Carolina Panthers. This one doesn't really seem to fit for me. I feel like they're going offensive line or quarterback in this spot. So Walker, I wasn't pegging them to get an edge rusher here. Now the Giants at number 7, oddly enough, Kayvon Thibodeau going to be the 3rd edge rusher off the board. This is where I do think he goes. I think the Giants do focus on the offensive line with their number 5 pick. And then at number 7, I think Thibodeau will be the 2nd edge rusher off the board. Or I guess 3rd if the Jets go with that at 4. But I do think Thibodeau falls to the Giants at 5 or 7. And I think this is probably like a panic for me because I don't want to see the Giants end up with Kayvon Thibodeau and he winds up being like the second coming of Lawrence Taylor. Really hoping that's not the way it winds up going because even though I feel a little nervous on Thibodeau, the guy's got talent, so I understand people wanting him. At number 8, you see the receiver go again. This is Garrett Wilson out of OSU. This makes a ton of sense to me. Now, I do think there's going to be some Atlanta fans that are looking maybe offensive line help to eventually help the quarterback that I think they'll eventually draft next draft. So, but Garrett Wilson, hey, it's going to help out your young quarterback either way, and you get the rookie growing pains out with Mariota this year with Garrett Wilson, so he's fresh for your young rookie quarterback next year potentially. At number 9, we have Seattle going Charles Cross, the tackle. I was kind of thinking they'd go edge rusher. They could go cornerback here because they just lost DJ Reed to the New York Jets. Could they try to replace him with someone that might be coming up in just a pick from now? And at number 10, we get my favorite player, personal favorite player in the draft, and that is Ahmad Sauce Gardner. If he comes to the Big Apple, he will be the Big Apple Sauce. I love it. You can cover receivers in sauce all day. It's the no-fly zone. This is the sauce zone. I really like Ahmad Gardner a lot. It's weird saying Ahmad. I'm just going to say Sauce because I've been calling him Sauce the entire offseason. I really like him a lot. He gave up like 131 yards on the entire college football season. No touchdowns through his entire career. I love the way he interviewed, the way he plays the game, and the way he kind of like the reasons he plays the game. One thing that I've sort of been listening to players is like, why are you here? Why are you doing this? And he brings up his mom a lot and trying to take care of her. And that's really like kind of cool to see. You want to see a guy that is fighting for something so hard there. Now, you look at Tyreek Hill down in Miami. You look at Stefon Diggs in Buffalo. You look at probably a wide receiver for the Patriots maybe in the first round. So I could see where corner is a big time need for the New York Jets. Now, as far as this draft goes, I don't particularly like it. I like both players. I like London a lot. I like Gardner a lot. But I kind of like either one in conjunction with an edge rusher. If you're going to go a different route at 4, you have to go edge rusher at 10, I think. I'd be a little surprised. Jermaine Johnson is probably where I would go here. Just kind of looking over the rest of this mock draft, he has Derek Stingley going 11 to Washington, and then Trent McDuffie going 12 to Minnesota. So that's 3 corners right in a row there. So maybe there's a situation where if one team wants one of these particular corners, maybe they're trying to jump in front of the Jets. I have a hard time thinking Sauce is actually going to be there for the Jets at number 10. I really hope he is because I would love to make that selection there instead of at number 4. Houston takes Jordan Davis, the top defensive tackle. Baltimore gets Tyler Linderbaum. I could see that happening. They just lost Bozeman. You get Jermaine Johnson going to Philly with Chris Olave going to Philly, and then they wind up taking Devin Lloyd at number 19. Philly's loaded in this first round right now, and this is going to be a pretty rock-solid first round for them, I would think. The Chargers going Trevor Penning. That's the tackle that we really liked at the Senior Bowl. He's kind of just kept gaining traction. It wouldn't shock me if he kind of snuck his way a little bit closer to that top 10 when all is said and done. Now, New Orleans going Kenny Pickett at number 18. I did not... If they're going quarterback, I would have thought Malik Willis would be the first quarterback off the board. Now, Pickett did fine at the combine and everything, but the small hands is definitely a concern. I think he had 8.5-inch hands, and there's not an NFL quarterback with that small a hand. So you got to be a little concerned, but here, he's in a dome, so he doesn't have to worry about cold weather, which may not be that big of a concern considering he played at, Pitt? I don't know. I'm not exactly sure because he has a ton of fumbles in his college career. But either way, New Orleans gets their quarterback at number 18. Malik Willis going 20 to the Steelers. Now, I have said this. If the Lions pass on Malik Willis at 2, I think there is a really, really good shot the Steelers are going to come up to number 4 and offer the Jets a haul. Now, I don't know what it's going to take for me to want to trade down, but you're probably looking like 1, 2, 3, 2, 3 plus Claypool, or 1, 2, 3, 1, 3, something along those lines. I'd love to have a second 2023 first round pick. Give us 3 years of consecutive 2 first round picks. Would absolutely love that. Then you got the Patriots going Jameson Williams here. An opportunity to add a big-time wide receiver. That's probably a top 10 pick if he doesn't get injured. But they're going to have to let him sit a little bit. It's going to be interesting to see. I don't want to go against him. I hope he does not wind up in the AFC East. You got the Packers taking Kenyon Green, Arizona going Devontae Wyatt, Dallas going Tyler Smith, Buffalo going John Doxson. Now, that is someone, another big time receiver coming into the AFC East. So, should the Jets be focusing on cornerback? This is something we got to consider. It's that maybe the receivers that we have to be worried about are not on the teams yet. Something to consider. You got Tennessee going after guard Zion Johnson out of Boston College. He is the guard that we had at the Senior Bowl that we were testing out at center. So if the Jets were to move back, say, with the Steelers, I would say someone like a Nakobe Dean and someone like a Zion Johnson would both be in play here. You'd probably look to cut or trade McGovern at that point. Him going here at 26, I think that makes a lot of sense there. Now, this is the first time I've seen a running back go in the first round, and that's Tampa Bay with Breece Hall. He could sneak into the first round. I really like a lot of the running backs in this class. I'm looking probably more in the third, fourth, fifth round. I don't want to go too high on that. At number 28, you see Treylon Burks. This is going to be the successor to Devontae Adams. I think this is probably where Treylon Burks goes, this tail end of the first round. A lot of Jet fans have kind of talked him up to be maybe the 10th overall pick. I don't really see it, especially with his RAS score and the profile of player that he is, sort of lends itself to the top end of the second round. But here at the end, with Green Bay having 2 first-round picks, I think makes a ton of sense for them. And he's a really good player. I would be really excited to watch him play with Aaron Rodgers. Miami gets a player I really like. This is probably my second favorite player in the draft, and that's Nakobe Dean out of Georgia. This guy is a violent linebacker, and I would not... I don't want the Jets to go against him. I don't want him to be in Miami because I want to root for him at least on some other team that's not a division rival. You got George Karlaftis falling all the way to number 30 to the Kansas City Chiefs. This is the farthest I think I've seen him fall. Interesting here. I would say if the Jets were sitting in the second round and you had to figure out what are we doing at edge rusher, I'd be looking to come back up at some point. I don't know which team would be looking to possibly move out, but George Karlaftis sitting there at number 30 while the Jets still need an edge is something that I would definitely consider moving up for. 31, you got Cincinnati going Travis Jones. I guess I sort of thought they would be like a lock to go offensive lineman and just surround Joe Burrow with as many fatties up front as you could possibly do. I don't know. Maybe they need defensive tackle here. At number 32, you get Detroit getting Matt Corral. And I feel bad for Detroit because if you come away with Kyle Hamilton and Matt Corral as your 2 players that you got in this first round, that's got to be a little bit of like a hit with a wet pool noodle. It's just like you're not like super in love with it. Like, yeah, you get maybe the best talented player in the draft with Hamilton, but how much is he impacting the win-loss record? And then you're getting the 3rd quarterback here. Now, at least you get him at the end of the first round, so you're still getting the benefit of that 5th-year option. Detroit is in a weird spot at 32 if they don't go quarterback at number 2, because every team sitting at the back end, the front end of round 2 that might be looking for a quarterback could be trying to jump back up in front of Detroit. So teams like Carolina. Nope, Carolina doesn't own a second-round pick. We own their second-round pick. But teams like that, their teams at the top end of the second round could be looking to move back in front of the Lions. So I think this is a risky game if you're the Detroit Lions. I think if you love a quarterback, take him at 2. If you don't, you might have to wait till next year, which you still have 2 first-round picks. So it's still like not out of the realm of possibility. Build up your team as much as possible. You're going to be a pretty bad team next year and then, be up at the top end of the draft. So interesting stuff all the way around. I do think, I think this is the first time I've seen Ojabo fall out of the first round with that Achilles tear. I feel really bad for that guy. I hope he still goes relatively high. Like 3rd round would be interesting. If he winds up sitting there at that 3rd round, maybe the Jets consider like a little double dip. I wouldn't mind having him. This guy knows how to get the ball out of the quarterback's hand. He's really, really good in that respect. Now, how would I grade this overall? The Jets get Drake London at 4, and you get Sauce Gardner at 10. Based on how this board fell, I'd be pretty disappointed with the way this all kind of shook out. I definitely like both players, but I want an edge. One of those first 2 picks has to be an edge in my mind. I think the top edge rushers, generally speaking, are found in the first round of the draft, and if you're waiting till the top end of the second, I don't know. It just feels like you're playing with fire here. I would take Jermaine Johnson or Trayvon Walker. If it's Trayvon Walker, you're going that at 4. If you're going Jermaine Johnson, you're going that route at 10. I would be good with either one of these players with either one of those edge rushers. You guys know me. I want sauce, but I understand Drake London is definitely the player that you probably have to go target here. But guys, that's my thoughts on this draft. I'd give it probably is it a C+, a B-, probably a B-. I like both players, so I can't really grade it too harshly. And maybe there's a good second round edge rusher that you're looking at, maybe Boye Mafe or something like that. Guys, let me know your thoughts of the grading down below in the comments section. And as always, go Jets.